Hello, everyone, and welcome along to this live webinar. If you watch this webinar on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to our channel to get more relevant content. And I'm very excited to have Jamie York as our special guest today. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I am incredible. How are you?
Yeah, all is good. I'm excited from this webinar today. I think this is the first time we do a webinar with you, Jamie, with the new deal analyzer. So it's an enhanced deal analyzer. We'll show how you can use it, but also we included finally the BRR strategy. So we will show the people that attended this webinar how they can also analyze BRR potential deals. So you buy the property in order to improve it. Then you do the prefurbishment, and then you remortgage at a higher value. We will show some examples. Let me share the agenda for today quickly. Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right. So we start with some introduction. And I think many of our users already knows you, but feel free to introduce yourself just for the ones that don't. Then we discuss some best practices about sourcing properties. And keen to hear you, Jamie, but I will also show how you can use the sourcing capabilities on Landlord. Um, then we discuss the property analysis, some words about the BRR strategy, and then we will do together a live analysis of a rental property and then for a flip. But perhaps when we speak about BRR, perhaps we do also analysis for a BRR case, because this is, I think, unique. Actually, it's not unique so much, but basically it's something that is new on Landlord, so I think it's better to show it. All right, so for you guys, if you have questions, feel free to put them on the chat. We will see if we can answer as we go, but anyway, in the end, we will have a questions and answers session. All right, so Jamie, over to you. Perhaps, a brief introduction about yourself and about perhaps Aspire Property Group and your activity.
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, great to be here. Thank you for having me. Hopefully, I can add some value to you guys today. So, for those that don't know me, my name's Jamie. I've been invested in property for around 10 years now. And over the last 10 years, I've had my singular focus or my core focus has all been around something called deal packaging or portfolio building. And we've done over 1,000 deals now. So we've done over 100 million in property. We've built up a decent sized portfolio and now run an education business as well, which probably is about 20% of my time and energy right now. So primarily the sourcing company is how I got to know Avi and Lendlord. So originally I was sort of doing a lot of things manually, started to think, actually, I like the idea of getting into the prop tech world. I think there's a gap in the market, started researching, and then realized there's less of a gap than I thought because Lendlord was here, right? And I started using Lendlord for myself, started thinking this could be really cool, and I really like to be involved. So that was probably around 2.5 years ago now. And since then, I've used Lendlord to source deals, analyze deals, fund deals, and it's a really cool tool. So yeah, that's my sort of background. So my main aim is to add value, and then if anyone is looking for somebody to help build their portfolio for them, great, let me know. We can have a chin wag. Or if you're looking to get some more in-depth education, I can support you with that. But if all you want tonight is some value for tonight, that's cool as well. So yeah, there's the short intro
And
for
we
you.
will
Any
share,
questions you can hit me, guys.
yeah, feel free to hit Jamie with questions. And Jamie, we will share your great YouTube channel as well. So, I think there is great content being published twice a week or 3 times a week now.
Yeah, I've been off for 2 months traveling, so not a lot in the last 2 months, but now that I'm back, yeah, 3 times a week.
So this is a great channel with great content for property investors and buy-to-let landlords. Can you hear me well? I see some connections issues.
Yeah, I'll put a link for you guys, but essentially if you just type Jamie York on YouTube, you'll see it pretty quickly. In the property world, it's relatively decent sized channel. It's got 106K subs, so you should be able to find it relatively quickly. But I'll put a link in now for you. There we go. Sorrel, do I use Lendlord solely, or do you use your own BRR buy-to-let flip strategy calculator? So I use my own as well, especially when I'm presenting them to other people. Right now in Lendlord, there's not the white labeling feature, but that is something me and Avi are talking about over the medium to long term. So that my vision working with Lendlord is to be able to present the deal through Lendlord with my branding over it, and then they can just click a button to apply for finance for the deals. And that's one of the core competencies of Lendlord, is the way that Lendlord's making money from all of us, right? Isn't by using the platform or by paying 50 quid a year for the incredible premium features. They're obviously running a massive loss there. How they're going to make their money is by us using them to get the finance, which works well for me because actually it's similar prices to everywhere else, but a way more competent team. So yeah, the vision of it, Cyril, is to utilize the white labeled version that we're looking into. So I can just go, here's a new deal, click there to get your finance, and then it's a one-stop shop. So it just gives you a lot more power. For you guys, if you're just building your own portfolio, obviously you can go in there on there. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I see some questions about integration. We will speak about it because we have some great plans. Also, we get some ideas from Jamie, of course, about starting a pipeline after you find the property and you analyze it. But we can discuss it later on in this webinar. I want to just kick off the agenda. So Jamie, in terms of the introduction, we have something that I want to cover is the importance of doing basically a thorough deal analysis, something that you can do on Lendlord. My take on that is that there are several things that you need to take into account and also to run what if scenarios. So for the short term and for the long term, this is something that we built into the Lendlord deal analyzer. But happy to hear your take on the importance of to do deal analysis before you basically start a process to acquire property.
Yeah, well, deal analysis is key. So there's a few different areas of deal analysis. So first of all, there's the area analysis. And I personally feel that area analysis is the single most important piece of analysis there is. So what do I mean by the area? I don't mean, oh, does it look nice? I mean, what's the crime in the area? Are there any flood risks in the area? What's the sort of population in the area? What's the type of population? What's the tenure of property in the area? Which is like, what's the ownership in the area? Things like that. And the reason for that is the house itself, the bricks and mortar, the timber, that's not actually the value of the property. The true value of the property is the grass that it's on, the land that you own, which is why I'm really big on freeholds rather than leaseholds, typically with what I invest in. The second part of analysis is the property itself. So it's really important to understand that you're making money when you buy your property, not when you sell your property. Like your exit or your refinance, it's kind of, yeah, it's a done deal. So like when I buy my deal is when I celebrate personally. I don't celebrate on refinance. I don't celebrate when I've sold it. I don't typically sell. Those that know me know I'm a long-term guy. I love boring vanilla buy-to-let properties. I'm all about the long game. But the money is where the start of the property, when you're buying the property, is when you're making your money. So it's all in the analysis of the numbers. And I'll talk through as we go through the calculators what I find the most important. But everything about your deal is about the numbers. And again, one of the key benefits of Lendlord, and look, obviously I'm massively biased. I'm on a webinar for Lendlord, right? But genuinely, when I'm saying I use it the most, I genuinely use it the most every single day. I never promote anything I'm not actively using. One of the key things I really like is the indicative terms of the mortgage. So, for example, when I'm stacking up this deal, it's like it's very real. It's a do you know what? If you want to run past what the numbers for this mortgage might look for this property might look like, click this button. Boom. 5 minutes later, I can have a quick phone call with the team. Does this sound about right? Yeah, it does. Sense checked, analyzed, ready to go. So yeah, one of the single most important things about property investment. Not the most sexy, but certainly the most useful.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Jamie. So before we dive into some best practices about analyze properties, I think that perhaps we should cover it while we are actually analyzing a deal. I want to just to do a brief overview about the Lendo platform and also remind you about the benefit of this webinar. 50% of premium plan, only 49.5 instead of £99 for the first year to get many useful features. So I will give you now like 3 minutes overview about Landlord. As you can see, the menu is separated into 3 sections. The invest part is the place to source properties. In this webinar, we'll touch this as well. On the premium plan, you can get the full address of each property. You can contact the agent if you want to get more details. You can add this property to your watch list. This is all premium features. You can get value estimation for this property. So on the basic plan, you have 3. On the premium plan, you have unlimited. You can also get estimation for the rental income for this property based on data points in this postcode. So this is on the sourcing side of the platform. You can also apply sourcing alerts. So for any property on your watch list, you can get alerts if price was decreased or increased, and before auction date, if you use our auction tab, where you can find properties from online auction houses all around the UK. And also the sourcing alerts, we show it in a different account. You can also create search criteria, and then the platform will notify you when there are new properties that match your search criteria. So you can define the location, the price from, price to, the property type, and get notifications and get alerted with that there are new properties on the system. This is also part of the premium plan. The deal analyzer, we will show you, I will not focus on that. And the postcode information, Jamie spoke about it, very useful to explore the area and get key metrics about any postcode. The manage section is for existing landlords. So here, let me switch an account. On the manage section, you can manage your existing portfolio, but you can also manage your cash flow. There are users that use it as some kind of an accounting software, or at least a place to gather the data for your accountant. And if you want to maintain your existing portfolio, we keep more than 150 different data items on each property. So it's basically a place to store all the information you need on your portfolio. There are no mandatory fields, so you can start with basic data and then tweak and add as you go. My Documents is a great place to manage your documents, and you can manage for any property, also common files. You can manage documents for owners and for companies, and you can share and create package of documents and share it with others. Tasks, when you enter a new property and you put a due date, the platform will create a task for you. If you need to renew your EICR or your EPC, to renew your tenancy agreement, or switch rate on your mortgage product. So everything is here. Jamie, this was actually your idea, I think 2 years ago, to do this, the 5 things you need to do. So the platform will create tasks for you, but you can also create your own tasks. And you can also view it in a calendar view as well. My tenants, this is the place to manage your tenants and tenancies. On the payment schedule, you can track your rent collection. You can also invite your tenants to their own dashboard, and then they can get notifications to pay their rent. You can share important documents with your tenants, which is basically something you have to do. And you can also get maintenance reports from your tenants, so they can report it from their own landlord dashboard. And the cash flow section, so here you can link your bank account. This is part of our premium plan in a secure way. And then you can retrieve transactions and allocate them to the properties. So then you can see your profit and loss. You can see reports, and you can also track the performance, which is the best place is to use the interactive report. And here you can see a summary of your portfolio. You can see the best and the top performing properties in several metrics and the worst performing properties. But for that, you need to manage your cash flow on Lendlord to get all of this information. And if you link your bank accounts, you can automate everything. You can go property by property, see the performance of this property and how this property ranked if you compare it to other properties on the platform. And last thing, the end, is the finance section. So here's the place to find options for mortgage, remortgage. Our engines will analyze the portfolio and also stress test the property. And we have a live feed of mortgage products, and you can start the process online to get your mortgage illustration and then perhaps progress with the lender. And same goes for bridging finance. So everything is in digital, everything in one place. And as I mentioned, the premium plan, you have so many features. Just go to your settings or click on the link that I put on the chat. On plan details, click upgrade, or just do /premium. But I will just switch the account to show you how to do it. One second. Jamie, which page you see now? The settings page or a different one?
No, I see one saying manage your portfolio like a pro.
All right, so I can see it. 1 second. Yeah, all right. So from your settings page, go to the right top menu, click settings, then click on the account information, plan details. You can click upgrade. And if you want to use the 50% off, click add coupon. Then here, webinar 2808, click apply. And then select the annual payment, and then you get it the first year for 49.5. In the second year, it will increase to 99. But this is for the full year. You get all the features and also have some benefits for the finance side. All right, now let's start. So
Just before that, Avi, can I just check in with guys? Just guys, give me a 1 in the chat. So anyone that's watching, give me a 1 in the chat if you don't have premium on Lendlord. Okay. Just everyone engaged, just so I've got an idea. Okay. No worries. So maybe about 50 of you. And of those that put of those that put 1 in there, give me a 2 if you are genuinely serious about getting into property and making money from property. Okay. So team in the background, I think it's worth you putting the link in again and the code separately. Maybe Avi, you can do that, put the link in.
yeah.
Seriously, guys, like, because there's a lot that Avi just went through there and a lot of features. And Avi is a typical tech guy, you can tell, right? Going through it a million miles an hour, expecting us all to keep up. The reality is pay £50 today, okay, £50 today, and you are getting thousands of pounds of benefit. Like genuinely, if anyone's seen the tech out there, it's insane value at a fraction of the cost. And the reason why, if you look at others, okay, if you go and look at others, they make their money from the subscriptions, etc. Whereas the reason why that Avi and Lendlord are able to do this at such a low cost of even the £100, but £50 is absolutely insane. So seriously, like it's the outcomes that you're looking for. This will save you. In my experience, it saved me over 50,000 in 1 year, by the way. Okay, that's me personally based on going externally, and it cost me 50 quid. And the reason I say that is like, I think Avi is way too humble to be selling this himself. But seriously, if you're not willing to invest 50 or £100 to get access to that, it's insane. And to give you an idea, it uses property data. So if any of you use property data, that's costing 20, 30 quid a month to use. And Avi obviously pays a commercial agreement, which we won't mention how expensive that is, but a lot more, thousands, as you can imagine. And you're extrapolating all of that data into one place at pennies on the pound. So seriously, if you haven't got access to premium, get it now. It's done. Costs you 50 quid. Put in that promo code, and then everything we are going through today, you will be able to do. And yes, sir, it covers all of that. So yeah, it's a no-brainer. Got it 3 weeks ago. Amazing. Yeah, I love all the messages, by the way. By the way, just so you know, some of you are messaging to host and panelists. If you do that, it just goes to here.
Yeah.
But yeah, good to see all of you. Cheers, Justin. Cool. Will prices go up? So, well, yeah, after the webinar, you'll be paying 100 quid. So if saving 50 quid to get access to thousands of pounds is good for you, then get it now. The code is the one that we put in. If you just want to put the code in again.
Yeah,
Adam's saying he doesn't have the option to add the code, so might be worth looking about that.
yeah. So I will, so just leave the messages on the chat. We will go over the chat tomorrow with the team. So everyone that has any problem, we will see it. Also, I see some questions. We will answer everything. Yeah, Justin put the code. Thanks, Justin. And I put the links. Let me, don't write on the chat for 1 second because I just need to do it row by row. If not, it won't work. So let's start. Let's try again. So click on this link, app.lendlord.io/premium. Then on the pop-up, there is a link, add coupon. Find it, click on it. Then you need to enter the value webinar 2808, and then click apply. And then you will get the price of 49.5. This is by the end of this webinar. So hurry up and do it. And then now let's start. So Jamie, I think let's start perhaps with a few words about sourcing properties. What basically the topic is best practices for sourcing properties. I will show how you can do it with Lendlord, but it's very interesting for me, and I think for everyone, is how you find the best properties to buy at the best price, at the right time and at the right place. What are the secrets and how you can basically get a good deal flow, and of course how you can utilize technology. I will show this side as well.
Yeah.
But how you find the first property to buy? I believe that everyone has, a certain budget. You need a budget to start. What is your best tips for that?
Yeah, so the first one is kind of shifting a bit of a mindset around this. So there's a line that I use in business quite a lot, which is price is what you pay, value is what you get. And when it comes to buying a property, you can find a really cheap property in the arse end of nowhere. It doesn't make it a good deal. You know, something is cheap for a reason, you know, pay cheap, you pay twice. And that's a very common phrase here. But so the first thing is I'm not trying to get the cheapest property. So a lot of people, when they're new to property, they obsess with things like getting it below market value and everything like that. And it's really about getting a great deal in a great area at a solid price. I'm not looking to find diamonds here. I'm looking to mine gold. And I think it's really important to know what that looks like. So really, you want to be focusing on great areas so we can focus down a little bit. Then once we know the areas that we're looking, I really start trying to market effectively. Now, originally, obviously, this starts with estate agents. Okay. The issue with going through estate agents is so's everyone else. So when a property is listed on Rightmove, everyone else can bloody see it. So you're going again and again and again and again, competing, going on viewings and things like that. Then when you go into direct to vendor, so it might be leaflets, letters, ad spend, which I do a lot of. So I spend probably about 30,000 a month now on ads to attract vendors to come into me and all of that, which is great. I really love it because they're coming to me. So that's a good, powerful conversation. The downside of a lot of that is, of course, who's got 30 grand a month to spend on this? So this is where tech really comes in. And Rightmove kind of started this in the early days, trying to make it simple with some keywords and things like that. But then the problem was you've also got other platforms. It doesn't pick up all of the keywords. It doesn't bring them all into one place. And I think that's really where Lendlord started to come in, where like the two most powerful features that I love on Lendlord for sourcing is number one, the auctions. You know, it's got really good relationships with auctions, all of that feeding through to one place. So I'm not having to find different auction houses all the way through. So I really, really like that. How we can get it, narrow it down, filter it. And then what I do love to do is I'm not really a one by one person. I like looking at something in a really broad sense, and then I like adding it to my list. So I like sort of making what I call my kill list. And maybe that's too aggressive as language, I don't know. But I call it my kill list. And I put it in, or a watch list, but it's like my kill list. This is where I'm going to attack today. And I go through auctions first. Next thing I really like doing is going on the actual repossessed properties. Now, this is really interesting because what I can start building up is this list of properties that they're either going through repossession, they've got repossessed, or there's keywords in there. And this is really powerful as a list because when I'm on Rightmove trying to sort of attack this, it's a different way of approaching properties. Whereas when I'm on Lendlord, I can just get my full list, narrow it down, excuse me, narrow it down to my area, and then I've just gone, right, this is on my watch list, go, 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 go. And the thing with that makes it really powerful with Lendlord specifically is making sure that I've got the power behind me. One of the key things with repossession properties and auction properties is you very rarely can buy with mortgage on repossession properties, and you should never, ever try to buy at an auction house with mortgage. And so what I like doing with Lendlord is seeing what the bridging's going to be. Okay, so I get these indicative rates from Lendlord to go, okay, where are we playing the game at? I'm going, okay, I need to do this, go through this thing, which often takes me probably about 5 minutes max going through this to go, okay, I know what my indicative rates are. I can put in my offer confidently so that if it is accepted, then I can move with speed. And so that's what I do. So those are my two things that I really love using tech for. And the reason I love Lendlord specifically is There's so many things in one place. And I think that's the key benefit that's just from the sourcing angle, but I can track my pipeline on there. I can get my finance in place on there. I can, even when I'm doing my refurbishment, I've got the plans on there to do the refurbs. And even when I've got my portfolio, I can manage it now on Lendlord because it syncs with my bank. I know when people have paid me the rent. It reminds me when I need to update some of my compliance. And so for me, Lendlord is very quickly becoming a one-stop shop for that. But going back to the sourcing part, what I recommend a lot of you guys do, especially if you've got these premium features, is you can stack all of it in your watch list and then just burn the phone rather than doing one thing, calling the agent, all of that. And what you can do on Lendlord is group them together and put them in an order as well. So if there's 5 with one agent, great, we can go on there. Um, and yeah, Justin's asking, did you say it syncs with the bank? Yeah. Avi, do you want to talk about more? Because you'll know more about how that actually works with, is it Zero and how it syncs with a feed?
Yeah, so now we mainly focus on direct integration to your bank account. So Landlord is approved by the FCA as an agent of Plaid. Plaid is authorized by the FCA for open banking. Open banking is a reform that allow software providers to get integration to the bank systems. So the banks needed to provide an API to those softwares. So basically, the API that we get is one API for all the banks. It's very secured. We don't have any of your credentials. Plaid don't have any of your credentials. We just get a read-only access to your transactions. And then you can allocate and you can also apply rules. I will see that perhaps later in the webinar, I can do it in a QA environment, so I can show you how you can do it. But basically, this is a very easy way to allocate transactions and manage your cash flow easily with Landlord. So yeah, I'll try to do it after. I need to find an account for that. But yeah, it's something that definitely we can do.
Meg was saying, what are the data sources? Are they reliable in real time? The data sources is your bank account. So when somebody pays into your bank account, and obviously when say a tenant is on direct debit, obviously when they pay, it's the same reference every single month. It's the same amount. So then when it comes in, it pulls it and goes, you've been paid. Or of course, if they've not paid it, it can go, you've not got this money in. So yeah, it's a really good thing. So when I'm saying, guys, when I'm saying you have got all of this for 50 quid, it is insane. Like it's absolutely insane. The other thing that I forget to mention a lot about Lendlord is the new wealth tracker, which we're not really here to talk about today, but I really think that's quite cool. Just with all of your assets and your liabilities all in one place. And again, up until recently, I've been storing all of mine on spreadsheets and things like that. And that's something I've been playing around with recently, where I can just put everything in, understand my categories. And Avi, a suggestion if you can't do this, yeah, it'd be really cool, because I've not seen this on there, is if there's like a pie chart to show your asset allocation as a percentage. So if you went X% of your wealth is in property, X% of your wealth is here. Just a suggestion that
Yeah,
I think would make it even better. But yeah, it's a really, really cool tool.
yeah, we can definitely do that. Yeah. So, and here basically you can select any category. Basically, we have a category and then subcategory. What you have on hand, what you have for the short term, and for the long term. Of course, it can be either an asset or liability. And then you have the subcategory based on the category. And then all the home and property, this will come from your My Portfolio. So you need to manage your portfolio on the Landlord platform. Can you see the right screen? I'm always afraid that I show like a different screen. You see, Jamie, you saw like the wealth tracker. You see
Yeah.
it? Oh, perfect. Okay. Um, all right. So we spoke about property sourcing. Now let's go back to the agenda. And let's see, the next topic is, again, you can see it, but I don't. So 1 second. All right. So this will cover once when we analyze. Before we analyze the BRR deal, Jamie, do you want to speak perhaps about the differences between the three strategies that we support? But I think that those are the main three strategies for property investment. It's vanilla buy to let, flip, we can call also buy to sell, and BRR. So it's basically buy to hold, but there is a refurbishment project in the middle that help you increase the value before you get the long-term mortgage. So for me, it's interesting to hear from you, perhaps, very short explanation about each of the strategy, but also what you used to use in the past, what you do today, what you recommend, people to do best based on their preferences and the circumstances. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So for me, I'm a really simple guy. So I like it as clean and easy as possible. So I actually have a preference towards straight buy-to-lets, but that's just because I love it. It's old school. I want to talk about BRRs and what they mean and what they don't mean. So a buy, refurbish, refinance is, I mean, you hear some ridiculous things. It's like the BRRRRR method, and I heard somebody called the BRRR method, and it's like it's just a buy, refurbish, refinance, right? So you're buying a property, you're enhancing the value, hopefully by refurbishing the property, and then you're getting a new refinance means you're putting a new piece of finance on the property in order to release equity. For example, let's say I buy it for 100,000, I put in 20,000, and then it's worth 150 at the end. Then that's going to work like relatively well. So 150, you might get 795 on the rent, something like that. And then you're going to refinance with a long-term mortgage. So that is the most typical example of that. Okay. And what you're doing is you're getting a mortgage at the higher rate. So typically with a mortgage, and I'll talk about financing routes with BRRs, typically you're going to get 75% loan to value, which equates to 112,500. So again, let's forget like stamp duty, legal fees, etc. Let's just make this as simple as possible. If I'm buying at 100,000 and I'm putting 20,000 in, I have put in 120,000 cash. What I then do is get a mortgage on 75% of the 150K, which means I get debt raised of 112,500. So the total cash deployed is 7,500 in that example. But of course, in reality, you've got things like your stamp duty. If you're buying, most people don't actually buy with cash. They use bridging, which I'll talk about in a second. But you've got all these additional costs. So first of all, what buy, refurbish, refinance is incredibly rarely, but people still think of this, is buy something, refurbish it, and then get all of your money out. Now, can you still get deals like that? Sure, but it's just so incredibly unlikely. And so it's really important. Like, you get a lot of bullshitters out there, especially people trying to sell you a course. And I know I'm an educator, by the way, and I sell courses, but I like to pride myself on not feeding bullshit to people. This is not the reality, okay? The chances of you finding properties where you're going to buy, refurbish, get all your money out, slim to none. Okay. Just want to give you some reality in that. So what I'm personally happy with on a BRR is if I'm leaving in up to 20,000 as a max, I'm okay with that. So if I'm leaving in 20K, I'm pretty happy. So this is a typical example where you're probably leaving in 19 and a half. Where are we? 19,300. So this is a typical deal with typical numbers where I'm like, yeah, I'm good leaving my money in. And really what we're looking for is the ROCE. So ROCE, you might hear it called ROCI or ROCD. Lendlord calls it ROCD, so return on capital deployed. So could be invested, employed, deployed, all the same thing. Okay. So I'm looking for that return. All right. And you can see there 36.92, which is phenomenal. That's a phenomenal return there. So going back to the financing, a lot of people, and now I'll be honest, I'll be blunt with you, you'll probably get away with doing it the wrong way. I'm just going to say that, but that doesn't mean you should. So a lot of people will buy a property with a mortgage, knowing that they're going to be refinancing out or flipping the property, selling the property on. You shouldn't really be doing that. Instead, you should either be buying with cash or bridging. Okay. So bridging finance, it is what it says on the tin. A bridge is a loan to bridge you from entry to exit. It is literally, here's the entry, here's the exit. I need a bridge to get over this. That's why it's called bridging finance. So typically you will purchase the property with bridging finance. The downside of bridging is it's a bit more expensive. The upside of bridging is it's fast. And you could buy a shell of a house. It's got no kitchen, no running water, and you can still buy it with bridging. You will not be able to buy that with a mortgage because it's uninhabitable. Now, the cool thing is, we're not going to go into this, it's also stamp duty exempt at that point. So if it is uninhabitable, you can't live there, all of that, there's no stamp duty to pay on that property. So you bought it with that. You can sometimes use bridging to do part of the refurbishment as well. Often that's called mezzanine finance, but we're not going to go into that right now. You enhance the value of it and then you refinance onto a mortgage. And so the mortgage will pay off the bridging and hopefully you've got some money left over. So Jen, yes, just to repeat, you purchase with bridging, you do it up and you refinance onto the mortgage. So there's some questions that have come in there. Let me just go through.
Many questions. We will try to cover all of them on the session, but if we have something relevant to this, with this example, your net yield is below 2%. Let's see what we did here. 1 second.
Yeah, so net yield. So yield in itself, it doesn't really mean anything. So just so you know, guys, yield is a comparative metric in investment. It doesn't so for example, I focus on gross yield. I've not met many investors that care about net yield at all. Gross yield, and for me, I target 7%. So this would be absolutely fine. And in case you don't know what gross yield is, because I hear some really stupid things about yield sometimes when people go, oh yeah, but you've not taken off this. The reason it's called gross yield, it's a black and white equation. Okay, there's no other way of doing this. It is your yearly rent divided by your purchase price. That's it. So, for example, if I'm getting rent of £500 a month, that's £6,000 at the end of the year. You divide that by 100,000, it's 6% yield. And for me, what I'm looking for in my area is around 7%. Now, people get yield wrong a lot, by the way, and it's honestly, I could talk about for hours, just yield. Yield is directly associated with risk. So the lower the yield, the lower the risk of the perceived risk of the investment. So for example, if you buy in London, the perceived risk of buying in London is quite low. So you can buy a beautiful property that theoretically over time should go up a load. Your yield will be very low. Okay. Whereas you can go to a mining village. I can find you right now a £50,000 house in a mining village in the northeast that will rent for £550 a month. The yield would be exceptionally high on that property. We're talking like 15%. Great, right? Yeah, no, because the tenant type's really high risk. The chance of there being capital growth in that area is incredibly low. So really, we're looking for that gross yield, and hopefully that gives you a really good a good idea. Just give me a one, guys, if that made sense. I know this can be quite complex stuff, but I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. Amazing.
All right. By the way, just to understand, and yeah, the gross yield is 7.17. I think that we chose like the rental income 795. And because, by the way, you have this tab summary, so you can see also defaults that landlord calculated for you, and you can change them. So I think that we took here 5% mortgage rate, but I think you can get it now with lower rates. Perhaps you change the average. You can always click on finance this deal, and then you can see your bridging options. I don't know why there are no buy to let here right now, but if you go to the finance tab and click mortgage remortgage, you this is the new account. But this is nice with landlord. You can see that in this case, it's a new profile. I don't meet the requirements for many lenders because of my minimum income threshold. So you can go to this page and you can put, you know, it's not, you don't need to put the exact number, just if you want to cross the threshold, then you can see, and then you can go back and run the search, and perhaps you will see now some results. No, the ICR doesn't work. This is the problem. The LTV. Now it should work. And then you can see that you can get, all right, so the rates are now a bit lower, but you should also take a look on the fees. It's always a combination. In this case, it's a 2 years product. So we also calculate the total cost for the 2 years. And you can basically sort this table either by initial rate or by the fees. You can see some products with zero fees. By the way, because it's a new account, I don't have any other buy-to-let properties. But if I would have 3 and more, then perhaps there are lenders that will not fit my criteria. I will not fit their criteria, basically. And you can also order by total cost. So you need to take a look on all of this stuff. On the deal analyzer, let's see if it basically you can run the same search and then select the product, and you will see that this will impact the net yield. So if I will change from 5% to, where was it here, to 3.5 or to 4, you will see that my net cash flow will go down a bit. And you can run different scenarios until you see, okay, so how it will impact now my metrics. So the net yield went up, but I would also look in the long term. And Jamie, I think this is a good point, because on the long term, we also look at the property appreciation. And on Landlord, we allow you to manage different scenarios. So in these scenarios, we use property appreciation of 1%, but if you use 5%, and I think that we take a default from the postcode, then you can see the long-term value. Because it's a BRR, I think we started from the purchase price. So you can see even a higher ROI. This is for 10 years, but you can also run it for 15 years or for 20 years. The IRRs, the internal rate of return, will take into account not just the annual cash flow, so what you basically make from your rental income, if you deduct all the mortgage payment, all the other costs, but also the IRR will take into account the appreciation, the property value appreciation over the years. And I think this is also a good question. What is your goal? Because you said just before, Jamie, that net yield is not it's not interesting. So basically, are you looking more for the long term? You want to see the internal rate of return and the ROI in 10 years, and rather than just look on how much you can do on a monthly basis.
Yeah, so look, so buy-to-lets are sometimes incorrectly advertised as you'll quit your job, all that sort of thing, that sort of thing. But the reality is, buy-to-lets are about building your wealth. Okay. And through generations as well, like property is notoriously forgiving. So, yes, I do want to be in positive cash flow. But honestly, the positive cash flow, I just want it to pay me a drink, look after itself, pay for the boiler every few years when it breaks down. And like, I'm not particularly interested in living the lavish lifestyle based on investing in buy-to-lets. What I'm interested, and here's a fun fact for you, and you guys can write this down. If you started investing today, you will sooner become a net worth millionaire from buy-to-lets before you make 10 grand a month. I'm going to say that again. You will sooner become a net worth millionaire through buying property and buy-to-let specifically than you will 10 grand a month. And the reason for that is the capital appreciation. So just and this isn't financial advice, but like I call it combined returns to keep it really simple. But the actual terminology is internal rate of return, so the IRR. For me, every sophisticated investor that I know that really invests, it is the IRR, or what I call the combined returns. And that is the single most important metric for me. And that's just showing like, the rent, the cash flow, take the capital growth all in. How much am I actually getting as a return? And for me, if I'm getting 15%, like imagine if I said you can get 15% combined return every single year. That's insane. Absolutely insane returns in something as safe as houses. And you'll figure this out, by the way, when you start looking at the really cheap properties, the really cheap areas, they've got shit capital growth, some nice cash flow. So your net yield, your net return is higher, but actually, you're actually really struggling with the capital growth. So the IRR is really, really low.
Yeah, I wasn't
Uh,
aware.
oh, yes, Lendlord does show the IRR. And Andrew, Lendlord, does it keep up with the market? Yeah, so the way that it works is it syncs with the same as Rightmove sold. It goes through to land registry, so it all works off of the same server. So unfortunately, it can't show say it's sold and completed last week, it won't show up on any of the databases. But it's a direct live feed through live property. So if in your area it's not showing, definitely get in touch with the team. Because in my area, if property goes on yesterday, it's on Landlord.
Yeah, and we should also update all the sold properties. So the list is basically being updated every day. If
Mhm.
you invest on market properties, you can see also when it was uploaded to Landlord. We also added this is a new feature, so you can also filter by price decrease. So you can see in the last 7 days, then you can see properties that you can see also when the price was decreased and from what price to the existing price, and you can also, of course, filter the uh, by address. All right. Okay. We will answer the other questions, but I just want to see that we cover everything. So we discussed the BRR. We basically did one example. Now, Jamie, you have one example of a deal that we wanted to analyze together. Do you want to do it together now with using the deal analyzer?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you the address of this property. So let me just get it up. So I'll give you the postcode if you want it, or do you want the full address?
Well, you can give me even any address in this postcode, and then we can
Yes.
do like
So
similar to the property that.
Yeah, so there's a DN3 2PS.
Like this?
Yeah, Scott Crescent.
All right. So, but I will pick perhaps a property in this street because I want to show. Copy this one. Do you know the street name or?
Yeah, Scott Crescent. So number 6 was the property I was going to use. Number 6, Scott Crescent. And it's a TT space Crescent.
Number 6, you said?
Yeah,
Scott.
Crescent. CRES.
This one?
Yeah.
All right. And this project was vanilla buy to let, flip, or BRR? What do
So
you
this
think?
was just a boring vanilla buy-to-let property.
All right. And what was the purchase price?
So we got this one was 130.
By the way, with the premium plan, you can do the estimation. So based on several parameters, can get estimation. It will not be fully accurate. It will give you some indication about the property prices. Actually, it was the same.
Mhm.
I didn't plan it. Uh, all right, but you can change the parameters and click re-estimate to get a new number. And you can do the same for rental estimation. Jamie, you tell me if it's the number. It takes a few seconds.
Yeah, this will be interesting. And guys, you can see at the bottom, powered by property data. So somebody said earlier, well, do I need to pay for property data? No, not really. Because again, this is already utilizing that data. I like property data. I love it. It's a great piece of software. But the downside is you're paying for it monthly and topping up in there as you're going through. So yeah.
Jamie, this is the rental income.
Very interesting. So it was rented at 650, which was below the market value. So we issued something called a Section 13, which is essentially saying, look, we need to bring it up to market value. And now we are getting 850. So not a bad estimation from Lendlord there.
Right. So you would change it for the analysis to 850, yeah?
Sure.
And you bought it with a mortgage or it was a
With
cash?
a mortgage, yeah. I typically don't like holding property in cash for too long. So I've got maybe a couple of million in property in cash, but like that'll be me buying it just quickly. And it's like we don't like holding in cash in the long term. So I do recommend against it. But again, not financial advice, guys, just what I do.
Right. Perfect. So when you click proceed, you can get some information about the property. You can also get the EPC level, and then in one click, it will take you to the government website to get more information about the EPC level of this property and also some estimation about cost if you want to upgrade. So this is something that is available.
Mhm.
And then, okay, so as you say, like we are just asked two data points, the purchase price and the rental income, but Landlord in the background use some defaults to calculate the metrics. But you can always go to the summary tab and see that we used 3,900 as stamp duty. But let's say that the number was different. You can change it here all the time. We used 1,600 for your closing costs, okay? But you can
Mhm.
change it here if you want to get more accurate information. So the refurb cost, I don't know if you did, did you do some refurb to this property?
Let me have a little look on this. I actually
By the way,
don't believe we did a big refurbishment, so no.
on refurb projects, by the way, you can click on the works plan button. This is part of our premium plan. I will remind you that you can click the add coupon during this webinar time, click webinar 2808, click apply to get the 50% off. So on the premium plan, you have the works plan generator, which will allow you to create a schedule of works and share it with others. All right, so what I want just to emphasize is that we use defaults in the background, but you can always go to the summary page and click on the pencil icon to edit the assumptions of Lendlord, just to tweak the information and get your analysis more accurate. And in the results tab, you will see the metrics. So what you'll see is the total cash investment. And in the tooltip, you will see the breakdown. Then the net annual cash flow, the net monthly cash flow, the return on capital deployed is basically the net annual cash flow on your total cash investment, the gross yield, the net yield, the ROI for the first year, and the cap rate. And for the long-term metrics, is basically if like we need the holding period, if it's for 10 years or 20 years, and then there are some assumptions here. So yes, Jamie, over to you about this deal. So
Yeah, so I think the thing that I really like is if you go on the postcode info for a second and just have a little look at this, because we want to sort of manipulate the figures a little bit to where we're actually at. So if we look at the capital growth, the thing to look at is a lot of people would get scared off of this because of 2024. So if you look in 2024, there was a minus 0.29%. So we lost value in the property. People go, oh my God, that's really bad, right? So, well, no, it's just the correction in the market. It's what's happened over this. So actually, what's really happened over the last 5 years is it's been over 4% on average year on year. Okay, and that includes 2022, where it was 10.9%. Okay, so this is very much, and I want you to write this down. This is about winning big, losing small. Okay, it's winning big, losing small. So many people will focus on, oh my God, it went down 2.9%. But it's like, well, no, we are averaging over 4% every single year. So if we go and we'll look at some of the other stats before we go back, but if you just have a scroll down, it's got the rental stats. You can see how quickly it does. Asking prices in the area is really important. Just so you know, by the way, look at the average in the area. And this is a really good indication of the property, by the way. So they got 206K, 184K, and 177. Bear in mind, we're at 135. So we are below the average in the area. Why is that important? Well, because everything moves towards the average. And so if you've got a property that is a property type of terrace, for example, so it's a terrace house, and your price is below the average in the area, we all move towards the average, so it's going to go up. Whereas if you've got a property that is significantly above the average in the area, the same is true the other way around, so it's going to come down on that. Okay. Next thing I want to do is look at property sales, and really I'm just looking at what's going on. You know, how often is something selling? And you can see there very, very regularly. Next thing I want to do is look at the crime, and here's my tip. Don't be worried about crime. Okay, so you can see there it is a low crime area. This is a phenomenal thing. Honestly, low or average crime is absolutely fine. Here's what I will tell you. Don't be shocked about how many crimes there are. Bear in mind that's low crime area, and that's 266 in there. The final thing I look at is schools. So there's loads more data than what I'm sharing, by the way. But Avi, if you scroll down just a little bit, and you can see schools. What I'm looking for, okay, is good or outstanding schools in and around the area. And this is really important for me on there, is that, you know, what is good or outstanding. And the reason for that is I want schools. All right. I want schools in the area. I want families living in my house. I want it to make my house their home. Okay. So if we scroll back to the top and we go back to the property now, because we've got all of this info that we're really wanting. So if we go back to the property and we're going to go to the long-term metrics here and our assumptions. So if you look at those long-term metrics just below.
Give me one thing before.
Yeah.
Another thing that we've added is those sliders.
Yeah,
So
I love these.
you
Yeah.
can just, let's say that if you would get this property with, 5K less, what this will do to your metrics for the short term and also for the long term.
Yeah.
You see that for the long term, I don't think that it's a significant change. And also the other way around. And also you can play with, okay, so if I want to put more cash, okay, so you see that I can play with the mortgage slider and reduce the LTV. See your cash investment goes up.
Yeah.
So this is also something that you can do. And of course, typically, I don't think that you will be able to get more than 75% um, buy to let mortgage. Also depends on the rental income, but as I mentioned, you can use this finance this deal option to get it will open in a different tab. You will see the live prices from lenders, and if you want to proceed, you click review your mortgage illustration, start the process to get your mortgage illustration. You can also schedule a call with our team, with our broker team, to get your mortgage done. I will share the links also in the chat.
Nice.
All right, yeah. So you spoke about the long-term metrics.
Yeah, so if we go into and edit the default scenario, I just want to tell you what I do. So this is what I do. So my default scenario, yeah, occupancy rate is fine there. Now I want my annual appreciation to actually represent the reality. Now I always say, look, the past doesn't guarantee the future, but if you've got a 5-year average, that is okay to use. So the 5-year average on this was 4.2%. Okay. So we're going to put 4.2% in there. Annual rent appreciation in this area is about 8%, but I like to put 5. Okay. And I will always put 5 unless it's lower. Now, the one that is a bit contradictory is inflation, or not contradictory, controversial maybe, is inflation. I put 0. Okay. Now, is inflation going to be 0? No. Obviously, there's going to be inflation. So why do I put 0? The reason I put 0 is inflation exists all the time, consistently. So, for example, if I have 100,000 in cash, guess what inflation is? Still the same. Say it's 2%. If I own it in stocks, guess what inflation is? 2%. If I own it in property, what is it? It's 2%. Inflation never changes where I've got my money. So it doesn't mean anything for me personally. All right. So I go for 0 because I want an accurate measure of what my money's getting compared to anywhere else. So if we click save on that, please, Avi. And then as you can see, the IRR is 22.14%. That for me is an absolute game changer. Absolute game changer. So yeah, really, really big thing there for me as we're going through. So yeah, for me, that's great. The other thing that I really like to do is a best case, worst case scenario. So my best case, what I do is I go on the UK national average appreciation price, which is 7.9%. I'll go to the top end of my assumptions, which is the 8%, inflation again at the 0%, and occupancy at 98%. Okay. And as you can see, suddenly it goes up. Now, if we go to the worst case scenario, again, you need to be realistic with your scenarios. So let's say occupation rate, yeah, 90% is fine. I'd probably go property appreciation rate at about 60%. So what we're looking at there is 60% of the average, the 4.2. So what we're looking at there is around 2.5%, 2.4 is fine. whatever you want to do. Rent appreciation, we're just going to put at 1%, keep it real nice and low. And again, inflation at 0. Now, if you really want to look at the economics, you can fluctuate the inflation as well. So I know that over the long term, I'm doing 15%. I personally am going to be very happy with that. Like, I am okay with that happening. All right. So I've got my best case, my worst case, and my realistic situation that I'm going through. And for me, as you can see from those graphs, and I don't know about you guys, I'm a very visual person. So I like to be able to see that on there. So I can see everything in one place, and it's like, right, boom, there it is. So for me, that is a really powerful situation that I can go into, get a summary of it, and go and make my investment decisions. And once I've done that, and I go, am I happy with what I potentially see as my worst case scenario? That's when I go into the funding. So all I do is click a button, decide how I'm going to purchase it with the financing. And I might use, I personally, I like Landbay, but whoever you want to use, it's absolutely fine.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we have 15 minutes more. I think perhaps we can take some questions.
Yeah, hit me with some questions, guys. So I've seen some in there already.
1 second, just before I want to
Yeah.
remind everyone the benefit of the 50% off. From the right top menu, click on settings, then click upgrade, then click here, add coupon, enter webinar 2808, click apply, and you will get the 49.5 pounds for the first year. The second year will be 99 pounds. And as you see, there are so many features that you can benefit, and also discounts on broker fee, aggregate fee on the finance side. Yeah, so how do you want to handle the question? Should we start from the start? We have, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or
What
by
I'd
the
say,
way,
guys, is sorry, carry on, Avi.
yeah, just if we don't answer, and if it's questions to Jamie, okay, Jamie will tell what is the best way to approach him and the team.
Yeah.
Despite him,
I-
if it's for landlord, you can use this chat box and you can hear basically ask questions. I will put some links to schedule demo. We have the link tree of landlord, and you can also on the chat box also put some feedback suggestions, feature suggestions, report bugs, and ask questions. So yeah, so Jamie, over to you about the questions. Yeah.
Cool. So, first of all, guys, if anyone does want to get in touch with me, the #1 place is Instagram. So, tell you what, this could be an interesting test. So, if you don't follow me on Instagram, everyone open Instagram on your phone. And I'll just do this now. So if anyone wants to DM me any questions, whether it's about education, helping you build the portfolio, or you just want some general help, like I'm not really one of these people that just pitch you, and it is Jamie York Official. So what you should see, and I'll just show you right now, is if you go on here, because I get a lot of fake accounts made of me, which I know sounds crazy, but they message you and ask about cryptocurrency. I will never, ever talk about cryptocurrency, ever. So if you go on there now, I'll give you some defining features. Top left photo is me and my girlfriend. I've got 17,800 followers and I will have the blue tick. So if you start following me on that, and interestingly, it's really weird. I can see you guys following me as you're doing. How bad's that? So Tams, Zoe, Ruby, Stevie, Indie Crafts UK, Orange Peel, no idea what that means. Adam, all of you guys, I can see you following as you're doing it. So all of those people, you are following the right people. So in terms of questions, so that's the way to do it for me is follow me on there. And if people want to chin wag, that's great. So cool, all good in the hood. I can see you all come through. Ah, lovely.
I
Check
would,
you boosted my Instagram followers, Avi. Thank you very much.
yeah, I would say let's cherry pick the questions that relevant for everyone. just to use the last 10 minutes of this
Absolutely.
webinar.
Okay, so if anyone wants a question, ask it. If it's relevant and I feel it's going to be broad for people, I'll get them answered for you. Do
And
you want me
start
to just
from
quick
the
fire them, Avi, or are you going to call them out?
yeah, you can raise your hand to see if we have time for that, but let me pick some question from the chat. Um, uh, um, yeah, question about the recording. Yes, you will like it will be on our YouTube channel after I believe tomorrow. Uh, let's see if we have. Yeah, we have some that raised their hands. Faye, I will give you the permission to speak, so feel free. Raj as well. And in the meantime, I will find one. Okay. Can a bid be placed on auction property via landlord? All right, this is a good question. So if you're on the premium plan, which you can get the benefit by the end of this webinar for the 50% off. So go to the auctions tab, and here you can click on the property lot. You can see here a button, place bid. So you need to be premium, but if you click place bid, then you will be able to start the bid process on this property. You will basically, you will see the auction house page with all the information. And there you can download the legal pack and get all the information, start the bid process. So this is for your question. People that raised hands, Samuel, perhaps if you want to ask, or Koi. Or Adam.
Can you hear me? Good evening, everybody.
Yes. Hi.
I call
Hi.
you.
Okay. Well, two questions, but let me go back to the one that Jamie said earlier. You said if we buy from auction, we don't have to pay stamp duty because the house is inhabitable. I am into the property game. I've been doing some, at least in the last 4 years, I've been able to buy out like 8 from the auction, but I've always paid stamp duty.
Okay. So it's nothing to do with the auction. So just to be clear, so it has to be purchased in a limited company, and if it's truly uninhabitable. Now let me be clear. That does not mean, oh, I've ripped the kitchen out, stuff like that. I mean, like, you cannot live in like
Yes.
nobody can live in there right now. So yeah, there's a stamp duty exemption within that, so you don't need to pay it. Okay.
Okay.
So if you've bought them in the last 5 years, feel
Yep.
free to DM me on Insta. I'll connect you to some people that you should be able to claim it back.
All
Okay.
right. Well, anyway, I still keep those properties. I'm renting them out now. Do I
Yeah.
still pay the stamp duty or
No.
I
Oh,
still? Oh, right.
no.
That's
So stamp
how.
duty, you have to bear in mind what, like, a stamp duty is the purchase tax. So it doesn't matter if you are selling the property or keeping it forever. It's when you're buying it and the situation of there. The only stamp duty tax that is to do with selling a property that you can get out of paying stamp duty is the property trading exemption. And the property trading exemption, again, in a company only, is when you're buying and selling the property within 12 months and intending on spending less than £10,000 on it. So, for example, I've bought a property in High Wycombe for 380,000, and then I sold it 3 months later and made 100 grand profit. It was actually 80 grand profit. I didn't pay any stamp duty on that. But your one, yeah, it doesn't matter that you're holding it forever. You don't pay any stamp duty on it.
Really, I'm gonna get in touch with you on that. That's good. That's number one question. Number two question: landlord, does he analyze commercial properties? Because the reason why I'm asking this is I'm looking to see or team up with people that we can buy commercial property, convert them, and flip.
So I don't think they do from the mortgage point of view. But when you're saying convert it, do you mean convert it to residential?
Yes. For example, I've got
Offices.
one I'm chasing now is a care home,
Mhm.
and they want to sell it, and I put in an offer. If it's been accepted, I'm looking to convert that into 7 flats, which is going to have a very good return. And I don't know if I can analyze that on land and landlord.
Yeah, so with that, you can analyze that relatively well under the BRR structure because you're the buy refurbish refinance. So it's not strictly made for commercial property, but with what you're doing with it, it's the same thing. So let's say you were buying, refurbishing, and selling it on. You could do that under the BRR or the flip calculator relatively well. So in
Okay.
terms of funding for it, because I think you mentioned the finance through there, yes.
Yes.
So what you would do is you would get in touch with the bridging arm there. So you'd look at the financing from a bridging point of view to fund the purchase, maybe some of the refurb dependent on the deal. And the cool thing that I really like about Lendlord is you're not talking to a robot. You're talking to a human being where they're going to assess the deal and everything like that and make the lend based on
Okay.
that. Then if you sell it off, great, you pay them back plus their interest, or you can then refinance. Because if, say, you convert into flats and then you split the freehold into individual leasehold flats, you can
Yeah.
make individual mortgages through Lendlord on that. And because you're doing the whole process through there, you get preferential rates, but better communication all the way through. So yeah, you can definitely utilize that. So the answer is no, it's not specifically made for commercial property. But the fact you're converting it to that, you can absolutely use it for analysis and the funding lines.
Okay. Thank you very much. I just followed you now. I will need the contact of the person where I can claim back my stamp duties.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Should we go to Adam next?
Yeah, Adam. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi guys. Hi guys. Just a quick question around the functionality of Lendlord. I saw some package and also invest, so I can see the benefits of using this for my portfolio management and all of the tasks and scheduling, calendar, rent due, all of that sort of stuff to get me organized. Am I able to also use that to manage my clients' portfolios? And so, i.e., I've got one investor who's got a few properties. I've got a second investor who's got a few properties. Can I group their portfolios together? You're answering the question, I can see.
Yes, absolutely. So when you add the
Wonderful.
when you add the property to landlord, you basically can deal with the ownership. So you can put some details about the property, and then you decide if it's a private or company. If it's private, let's say it's owned by 2 partners, you can also add another owner. And if it's a limited company, you can name the company. So basically, and then you can filter the portfolios by owners. So if you want to see is that just Aviram's properties or just Ben properties, I can also see my share in those properties. So if some properties I only own 50%. If I use this toggle, I can see that the equity has changed. It's not my real equity, by the way.
Yours is higher.
Yes. Yes.
That's great. Thanks for showing that. Thanks for taking the question.
So yeah, and then the tasks, basically it will create tasks per property. But yeah, basically gas safety certificates, EPC, landlord insurance, whatever you need to take care of, you will get alerts. You will also get rent payment overdue reminders. You can send an email to your tenants. You can invite your tenants to their own dashboard. There is like very enhanced functionality around the many existing portfolio.
And that task list at the moment is filtered by the owners you selected in the previous screen.
No, unfortunately not. It's just per property, but it's a good idea actually to add. I write it down.
Yeah, I want to be able to say like investor one, you've got a busy month coming up, and
Yeah,
it's on the X, Y, and Z properties, and it's these things.
actually, yeah, I think tasks should be filtered also by property. Something that perhaps we can add. It's not a problem.
Great.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me see if, yeah, I think we will need to call it for today, no, Jamie? Or you want to see if we have, yeah, there are so many questions on the chat. I'm sorry that we couldn't answer all of them. But Jamie, it means that you need to come again at some point. We need to schedule.
I'll tell you what, let me quick fire some. So for those
Yeah.
people that have got their hand up, ask in the chat and I'll quick fire some.
Yeah.
So let me see. Best way to find a verified deal sourcer, honestly, reach around in groups. Obviously, we can help you, Mark, but just check their compliance. You know, they need to be registered with the ombudsman or an arbiter of some kind. So the property ombudsman's my favorite. They need to have anti-money laundering. They need to have things in place. But yeah, if you DM me, Mark, let me know what and where you're looking to invest in. I've got a wicked contact book. So even if I physically can't help you, I'll point you in the right direction. Let me see. A few questions there. What compliance needed for the SIC code? So you typically need two if you're going to be packaging for other people. The best ones to have are 68310 and 68100. I say those again, 68310 and 68100. One is buying and selling of real estate, and one of them is estate agent activities. Now, there is a particular well-known individual out there going, change your SIC code to XYZ, then technically it's business consultancy, so you don't need to get compliance. I'm not going to mention names. I'm sure many of you can think of the individual. It's absolute bollocks, okay? I can call it a mud transference device if I want to. It's a spade, okay? A spade is a spade. And when you're doing business where you're looking to make 100 grand or $1 million a year or whatever you want to make, stop worrying about a few quid in there. So get it done properly. 68100 and 68310. What's my target IRR minimum of 15% for me personally? Great question, Dow. Why use Landbay when it's 3K more than the other firm? Remember what I said, price is what you pay, value is what you get. There's a big difference between what lenders say they're going to do and what they actually do. Landbay are as close to your friend as you can get with a lender. I love them. They're great. They're open. They're transparent. They pick up the phone, and it is worth way more than a few grand. Does the coupon expire? Yes, it does today. Jamie, do I use SIC code 82990 for compliance? No, it is the wrong one. Wicked. Looks really impressive. Amazing. Where should we invest for plain vanilla? I like Leeds. I like West Yorkshire right now. I don't invest here, but I really like Nottingham as well. I'm in West and South Yorkshire, absolutely love it. But if I weren't here, probably Nottingham is my second favorite. Just stop me whenever you want, Avi. I'll just keep going.
Sorry, quick question.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, Northeast is good, but do you have contractors? The problem that I think most of us on this platform will have is probably contractors that will help us in terms of renovation. That's a big problem for us. But I don't know if you have any link that we can contact you, because I invest mostly in Liverpool and surrounding Chester, but I want to go down to Hull. I want to go to North Yorkshire. I want to go, but the problem is actually getting contractors.
Yeah, so getting contractors, it's not really a simple thing. So you've got like checker trade and stuff like that. So typically they'll be slightly better standard. For me, I own a refurbishment company now, so I get your pain. It was such a ball ache for me. I complete on about between 20 and 40 properties on a monthly basis. And it was just getting so hard doing hundreds of deals every year, trying to find refurbishment things, let alone even doing one or two, right? It's really difficult. So I end up just building a refurbishment company. So anything in West and South Yorkshire, I can help you out with. in North Yorkshire as well, not a problem. In about 6 months, I'll be able to help in Manchester and Liverpool. So again, if you want to reach out, then I can support you. If you need,
Fantastic.
yeah, that cool. That's the limit of our locations right now.
Okay, good.
No worries. I think I've answered loads of questions. We know who you're talking about. Julianas, I'm glad you messaged that to host and panelists so only we can see. Yes, it is that person and no comment. What's my favorite tenant type? I like families. I like young families personally. Like for a couple of reasons. From an investment point of view, they often pay. They often pay on time and they're there for the long term. From the more human point of view, I really like the fact that my house is becoming their home. And like the more human side of investing, I like the fact that somebody has a home right now that is nice, it's near their school, all of that, because I went through that effort. And especially as I would consider myself a decent landlord, I'm not trying to do the cheapest of cheap refurbs. I want to provide a great home that they're going to look after over the next 5 to 10 years. So yeah, definitely families for me. It's just a nice win-win.
Jamie, today I visited, I'm also a small landlord, and I visited my tenants today, and it was so nice. I said, oh, I want to live here. They also and it's a family, and they took care of when you see when they take care of the property, and it's something that, and I experienced different tenants that the property, was not in a good shape internally, and now with this family it's amazing. And it's not all the time like this, but yeah.
Yeah, love that. Love it. Cool.
All right, so I think all the problems with the premium upgrades that I see people on the host and panel, it's just use the chat box. You will not get an answer today, but tomorrow the team will go over all the requests or things like if you were not able to upgrade. We'll just give you last reminder. And where is it? 1 second. How you can upgrade and use the benefit 50% off for the first year. Can you see now, Jamie, the screen? If I go to settings page, see it?
Hold on a second. Yeah.
Yeah. So from the right top page, click settings, then click upgrade, click add coupon, and then enter webinar 2808. Click apply, and then you will get it for the first entire year for 49.5 instead of 99. The second year it will go to 99, and you get all the sourcing features, the enhanced deal analysis with the reports that we didn't show, but you are able to generate reports, and also the capabilities on the managed side and some benefits on the finance side. Very valuable. Hurry up. I think that we will keep it by the end of today. So hurry up and upgrade. And yeah, so Jamie, it was great having you with us today, as always. And yeah, and thanks everyone. And thanks, Jamie, for joining. And we'll see you in the next webinar. And this
Absolutely. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys got some value tonight. That's my number one priority. If anyone does want to reach out, as I said, just hit me on Insta. I'll put it in again. It's Jamie York Official. And I'm more than happy. I do reply to all of the messages. So just give me a few days. I'll come back to you, make sure replying. And if I can support anyone anyway, that's great. Get in touch with Aspire Property Group if you're wanting to invest, education, if you want to get some proper education, all down to you. But genuinely, like I said, it's 50 quid to get some really insane value. And you can tell like Avi's nerding out on all of the feature stuff, but the outcome is what I like focusing on. For 50 quid, you get tens of thousands of pounds worth of value. And hopefully tonight just demonstrates a small portion of the value. But yeah, let me know if you got value in the chat, guys. I'd love to come back and add some more value in the future if you guys want me to. So yeah, really got a lot of value. Thanks for having me, Avi.
Thanks, Jamie. And I'm putting the links. If you also want to schedule a call with a demo call with our team, this is our link tree on the chat right now. And also, if you want to understand your mortgage options with our broker team or bridging finance with our bridging team, this is our link tree. So feel free to schedule calls. Thanks, Jamie. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening. Bye bye.
Say bye bye.